Hello, my name is Paul Wilkinson. Thanks for watching this video, kind of a follow-up from a couple of videos I've done about negative harmony. So if you haven't seen them, I shall put the link in the description below, and you should check out those videos 1 and 2 on negative harmony. I'm really doing this video as a follow-up. I've had a few people asking questions about Bartok, so this I would like to talk a little bit about negative harmony in this, particularly about the access point. I think a few people are a little bit confused about that, so I'll hopefully try and clear that up at the end. But first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about counterpole, which is something that you find quite a lot in the music of Bartok, particularly his mirror harmony. And there's a great book by a guy called Lenvi, which is a study of Bartok's music, and he's come up with some great theorems. It's very convincing, actually, about Bartok's music. So let's dive in and let's have a look at this mirror harmony in the work of Bela Bartok. Okay, let's have a look at the circle of fifths now, and if you'll indulge me in a moment, I'm just going to set up this subdominant, tonic, dominant pattern around the circle of fifths, which you can see there in front of you. So we've got tonic at the top C, tonic at the bottom F sharp, tonic A, and tonic E flat. Now, this is something that Lenvi talks about in his book, because what we set up there is a pole and then a counterpole. So we've got the pole of the C and then the counterpole of the F sharp. Then we've got the counterpole of the A and then this other pole of the E flat. Now, in Bartok's music, he would often modulate to these keys because these chords have the same functional relationships. So, for example, in his music for strings and percussion and celeste, the first movement begins in A, then the middle bit goes to E flat, and then we come back to A. The second movement goes C, then to F sharp, and then C. The third movement begins on F sharp, goes up to C and back down to F sharp. And then we have the A in the final movement. It begins in A major, goes up to the E flat, and then comes back down to the A. So this is really interesting. That kind of gives you a structural analysis of Bartok's music. And you'll see this a lot in his piano, for two sonatas and percussion, and various other pieces. I'll discuss a few more in a little bit. Now, okay, how does this relate to as a musician, maybe as a jazz musician or a classical musician improvising or creating some new chords? Let's just have a little look at this and see how we could apply it. Okay, so let's see how we can apply this now. If you're a jazz pianist or a composer or whatever, you want to play it and actually get some action out of it. So here, let's take a standard chord progression going round the circle of fifths. We're just going round the circle of fifths. We're going to go E, A, D, G, C. Here we go. Now what Bartok would do would be look at these chords that have a similar functional relationship. So if we take the D chord, for example, and if we look across the circle of fifths, we find that its subdominant relative here is the A flat. So what he would do is substitute that. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to substitute the G for the D flat. So we then end up with this. And I could have voiced that lots of different ways, of course. So it's really interesting how he does that. And so try it out. He also does it melodically as well. So instead of playing the note D, we'll swap across to the A flat. Instead of playing the note G, we'll swap across to the D flat. So in my earlier videos, I mentioned a little bit about flipping the chords at the axis point. So here's the chord of C, and there's its ground, if you like. And we're going to find the negative of this, or the mirror of it, okay? The mirror reflection, because we're not changing the interval relationships. We're just making a major third down, then a minor third, and we end up with F minor, which is a really lovely sound. Now, before I give an example of this, let's just play a few of the chords and show you those. So if I play a C minor chord, if I flip the intervals, that will become an F chord. The F minor on top of each other like that, which gives us a really interesting harmony. Then let's give you an example from the violin concerto. Here we go, where we get. So here we've got two tonalities going on, polytonality. We've got the C on the top, but yet the bottom part is definitely anchored round the mirror or the negative in F minor. Okay, here's another example I'd like to show you, just mirror chords. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with a chord that goes B flat, F, C, G, D. Now, that chord is built entirely on fifths. So it is an exact negative or mirror reflection. Here as I go up to the E, which is a tone lower, I'll drop down to the A flat. Let's try this one. C, F sharp, got a tritone in there, and then B on top. That will become D flat, and then we'll have this G flat as well, because we've got the tritone there. We'll end up with this sound. I think we better go back home and resolve that a little. Okay, so that's mirror harmony there. Looking at them all, they were all built in fifths, and then I moved one up a tone, and then I moved one down a tone at the bottom. Another interesting approach that you might like to explore. Let's just talk a little bit about scales as well. So, if you mirror scales, for example, if you have a Lydian scale, then if you build that scale on the same interval relationship descending, then you'll have Locrian. If you do it with an Ionian going upwards, you'll have a Phrygian coming downwards. If you do it with a Mixolydian, you'll have an Aeolian coming downwards. And if you do it with a Dorian, you'll have a Dorian. And then from that point, they just flip round. One more thing before we talk about negative harmony, and I'll draw your attention to this piece by Bartók, which is a fantastic piece. Bartók would often use this kind of mirror sort of shape, so so he might have the melody going out sort of like this, and then coming back down in this shape like this, or he may have the melody going up like that, and then the next one following down like that. So that's interesting, sort of negative and mirror all also sort of working as one, and he would use that quite a lot. In fact, it's really interesting to look as I'm looking at the score here. It's really interesting how he uses the shapes of that going that way, and then he might deliver the melody but sort of a falling phrase that then comes back up, smiley face, and then comes back up like that. Really interesting. So the final thing I want to talk about now is negative harmony at the axis point. Now I've talked about negative harmony a couple of other ways, which you can see in my videos, but I think a few people are getting a bit confused about Ernst Levy's approach to this negative harmony on the axis point. So if we look at the key of C, and we are in C major, okay, we're in C major. This is a tonic and this is a dominant. So Ernst Levy's theory is that you find the middle point between that, and then you do a little thing to work them out, and that becomes your negative harmony switch. So the middle notes between C and G, believe it or not, is somewhere in between E and E flat. So what Ernst Levy believes is that you work out in semitones like this, and when you find a note that was in our original chord, let's say of C major 7, C, E, G and B, you then flip the note. So as you work out, once you find a C, you change it to the note that you found. Once you find the E, you change it to the note that you found. But once you find the G, you get the idea. So actually, as we work out like this, it doesn't take long to find the negative chord for this C major 7. Because we've got an E, so suddenly we've got a transformation there. What was the E becomes E flat. What was the C becomes G, and what was the G becomes C. And then if we go out again, what was the B becomes A flat. So then if we say that backwards, we end with a chord of A flat major 7. So I'm now just going to tell you, just before we finish, all the chords, the negative chords that are in the key of C, and then you should be able to work it out for all the other keys as well. Okay, so I'm now going to just go through and tell you the negative chords in the key of C major. So C major 7 will become A flat major 7, that will be its negative. D minor 7 will become G minor 7. E minor 7 will become F minor 7. F major 7 will become E flat major 7. G7 will become D minor 7 flat 5. Chord 6, A minor 7 will become C minor 7. And chord 7, which is a B minor 7 flat 5 to B half diminished, will become a B flat 7. So I hope that helps. I'll really investigate some of these books a little bit further. The Bartók by the book on Bartók by Len Bai is absolutely fantastic. There's a book by Vincent Persichetti on 20th century harmony, that's also fantastic. And of course the Ernst Levy book, A Theory of Harmony, which delves into his concept of negative harmony. But as you can see, we've got mirror harmony, counterpoles, negative harmony. It's not just one truth. So if it's a tool that you can use and you can explore it more, so be it. So really thanks for watching.